Okay, so as everyone comes in, welcome. I'm Derek Auger, the Executive Director of Conservatory Canada. And today we have Christopher Norton back with us for a fourth week in a row. And today we're going to talk about the MicroMusicals, which is really great. Just to differentiate a little bit for everybody, the MicroMusicals, Chris is going to talk about, they're aimed at school-aged children getting together in groups, performing musicals and learning the music very quickly. And then from there, he's had published separate songs from the MicroMusicals, which you're going to find in these books here. We've got a worksheet for you. This is book 5. There's 5 levels of these books. And I just want to point out that all of the songs in these books here that Chris is going to refer to from time to time are available on our Contemporary Idioms Voice syllabus. And they can also be used as a musical theater choice on our Classical Voice syllabus. The webinar is being recorded. You're all going to get a link later on at the end of the day with the replay link, as well as access to worksheets and backing tracks. I'm also going to post a link to the backing tracks and worksheets in the chat box in case any of you want to check that out right away. So all of you have access to the replay link. And then just a little plug, next week on Friday, October 22nd, we're going to have Deborah Wanless here. I think Deborah is on the call, actually, when I look at the list. We're going to talk about her total theory program, levels 1 to 4, as well as brand new textbook, Basic Harmony, which goes well with Conservatory Canada Theory 5. And just a great introduction to harmony. It's a big, thick book. So know that we're going to come into that next week. Any of you looking for a new resource, these are one of our recommended resources for Conservatory Canada Theory. You're not going to want to miss that webinar. Feel free to put your questions in the chat box or the Q&A. I'll be there in the chat box moderating and taking care of some of your questions, and anything specific for Chris, we're going to direct the questions to him. So Chris, take it away.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen in the usual way. And we're going to be talking about songs from the MicroMusicals. So that was a little burst of the Vikings, and these are some pictures from the MicroMusicals. We've done 30 MicroMusicals. This is Wendy and I, my wife, in London, England. And the pandemic has meant we haven't been doing it. Otherwise, we'd be back to Britain 3 times a year doing this with a whole range of schools in London. But this is what some of them look like. And these are musicals written for children, broadly speaking, up to the age of 11, although they have been done by teenagers as well, but they were specifically written for schools from 5-year-olds to 11-year-olds. And we ended up with a lot of songs as a result. I think each one has a minimum of 8 songs in it, and there's 30 musicals, so there's over 200 songs. So I'm just going to quickly sort of run you through this. There are 30-minute musicals, it says here, but in fact, some of them are 20 minutes, some of them are 40, but 30 is a sort of average length. And that can be learned, rehearsed, and performed in 2 days. We haven't done that very much, but what I have done is I've managed to teach all the songs of a musical to a group of children, and a group of children, incidentally, can be up to 100 children in a hall, in one sitting. In other words, they're catchy enough, they can actually learn all the songs in one sitting. And then they go back with their teacher and have backing tracks to work with and so on. And then they put them on. And they're very quick to put on. The range of musicals includes these 6, which were published by Boozy and Hawkes some years ago. And you can see there's the Vikings, which you just heard a burst of. There's Romeo and Juliet of Shakespeare, Christmas Carol of Dickens, The Little Mermaid, The Highwayman, and Queen Nut. So it's quite a nice variety of musicals there. And the other 24 musicals are coming out through Amazon over the next 6 months or so through Boozy and Hawkes. They're being prepared at the moment, but the materials for these are all available already. In other words, it's a compilation job. But these you can purchase already by Hal Leonard. There's a video of MicroMusicals in action at boozy.com/micromusicals, so you might like to kind of look at that at some convenient point. This is all in your worksheet, by the way, but that's the 6 which first came out. Trying not to mute myself here. This is just a little picture of some of the words. This is, for instance, there's a song in A Christmas Carol called I Hate Christmas, which Scrooge sings, which the children really like doing, obviously, the idea of singing they hate Christmas. There's the beginning of the Vikings, the one I just played you a little bit of. You can see a piano vocal score, the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet, and then it's got curriculum links and a scenery and props list and costume and direction suggestions. So there's a lot of stuff, and these early musicals have also got full orchestral parts as well. which are all part of the package. So it's quite an interesting package, is the MicroMusicals. The musicals which are featured in the songs from the MicroMusicals books are listed here. There's a World War II musical, believe it or not, and we've got a song from that. The Christmas Story, which is obviously a Christmas musical. The Great Fire of London. The Stone Age, which is one about Stone Age people, which is children really like. A Magical Tour of the British Isles. Theseus and the Minotaur. Macbeth, believe it or not. Coasts, which is about a musical about the coastline, again, of the United Kingdom as it happens. The Tempest, another Shakespeare musical, and the one that you'll be amazed to hear about, Animal Farm, which is actually been completely written by my wife. So this is actually music and words by her, but most of the time she's done the words, I've done the music. Midsummer Night's Dream of Shakespeare. In the Shadow of Vesuvius, which is obviously a disaster musical about the explosion of Vesuvius. And finally, Junior Space Cadets, which is one about going into space, which is quite timely with Jeff Bezos and so on doing space tourism, if you like. But this is about children training to be space cadets, if you like, in preparation for perhaps going into space. So the songs in the books come from these musicals as well as from the 6 which were mentioned at the beginning. So these ones have been selected from that list, and there are 5 books at grade 1 to 5, and 5 books at grade, 5 books at grade 1 to 5 low voice, and 5 books at grade 1 to 5 high voice. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you a piece from book 1, and this is a piece called The Song of the Early Dwellers from the MicroMusical Toys. Now, Toys is actually for 5-year-olds. I mean, it's fantastic, really, how you can actually do a musical with 100 5-year-olds. But this is what I've done a number of times with this one. And as it says here, the song describes people in ancient times built everything with their own hands, worshipped the gods of creation, made music imitating the sounds of nature, using hollow logs as drums and reeds as flutes. And what I'm playing you now is a bit of the demonstration recording, because each musical has a demonstration recording done by a professional singer and with full backing. But what I've also done is I've used some Canadian children from Edmonton, as it happens, to actually record all 100 songs of the 5 books, low and high voice. So you've actually got a recording which is featuring children as well, not just ones featuring adults. And I think it's quite nice that I will have that available if anybody's interested. So here is the demonstration recording, but first of all, here's the cover. So this is book 1 high voice and book 1 low voice. So you need to look carefully to see which one's which, because they look the same, but basically you can see it on the right there. And the song, A Song of the Early Dwellers, is coming up. Everybody joins in.
We are the people who live on the land. Our life is at one with the moon. We make all we need with our very own hand, and we echo the song of the loon. And we echo the song of the loon.
Middle section.
We hark to the wind and the sound of the water, and try to copy their sounds with our flutes. Our drums tell the stories of fishes and otter, and echo the sound of our roots. And echo the sound of our roots. We are the people who live on the land. Our life is at one with the moon.
So children love that song, and they learn it very quickly. And what I'll show you now is what the music looks like. So this is the book arrangement, if you like, and this is the high voice version. And you can see the piano part's not too hard to play at all. And this is a little bit of a recording done by a student. So I think it's like an 11-year-old doing the same song.
We are the people who live on the land. Our life is at one with the moon. We make all we need with our very own hand, and we echo the song of the loon. We echo the song of the loon. We hark to the wind and the sound of the water, and try to copy the sound with our flutes. Our drums tell the stories of fishes and otter, and echo the sound of our roots, and echo the sound of our roots. We are the people who live on the land. Our life is at one with the moon. We treasure each member of our native clan, and our music is nature's own tune. Our music is nature's own tune. Our music is nature's own tune.
Now, you may have spotted that, in fact, we've shortened the song slightly from the demo recording, so you get first person and straight into the middle section. And I had a very good editor in Britain who's a vocal teacher, but also an editor of a well-known British vocal magazine, and she's an examiner for the Associated Board vocal program as well. And she said to me some of the time, we just need to shorten this, or even in certain instances lengthen it. So she's made decisions about the structure, and I think that's a good length for a student to learn. So that's a grade 1 piece, high voice, and of course the other book has a transposed version and a transposed accompaniment as well. All of the backing tracks for this, I think I'm right in saying, will be available on the Conservatory Canada website. And I'm just going to stop sharing for a second so I can see Derek. So Derek.
I'm here.
Am I right in saying that? Well, I'll make all the piano parts available to you on block, so people can actually download the accompaniments.
Sure, that sounds fine.
Okay, that's all I needed to say on that at the moment. Okay, so let's go back into sharing the screen, and let's go here so I can see which program I'm using. Here we go, and move on to. Oh, no, this is interesting. This is actually the same song done by 5-year-olds in a MicroMusical. And what I did was I actually fed the demonstration recording in with the live sound, but you really get the impression of what these MicroMusicals look like. And these are mostly done, by the way, just on the floor of a school hall. They're not done with a stage even. These are quite schools which don't have any great drama program. It's the only thing they do drama-wise. So I think it's a lovely effect. But here it is, done by a group of 5-year-olds. And so on. So you can tell they do it very nicely and very tunefully. So that's done by a big group of 5-year-olds, the same song in a MicroMusical. All of the songs you're hearing, by the way, have been done in MicroMusicals a number of times. So they've all been tested out, if you like, in live performance with staging and everything as well. So now I'm going to go on to book 2. Now this is from the Vikings, and this is one of the 6 which Boozy and Hooks put out originally. In this song, the god Thor sings of the mighty chain he will forge so he can restrain the fierce wolf Fenrir, who won't break free and threaten the Vikings again. And again, what I'll do, this is MicroMusicals book 2, Low Voice. I'm just showing you the cover of the low voice one here. Here's a bit of the demonstration recording.
Do not fear, don't be afraid. With the help of my hammer, I'll find a way. With my chain, I'll bind him fast. I'll work in my forge till the break of day. Hammer on steel, sparks will fly. The chain will be strong, and no one will die.
So that's what it sounds like. Here's what the music looks like for this one. And and again, I've got a student singing this, just a demonstration recording with a student. And again, with the permission of the people in Edmonton, I'll put the student performances up, or at least snippets of them, so you can actually have a little bit of a demonstration of the demo, but also of the student performance. You get a bit of feeling for both. This is low voice again, and you can see the piano part again is nice to play, but not too hard. And here's our little student doing this.
Do not fear, don't be afraid. With the help of my hammer, I'll find a way. With my chain, I'll bind him fast. I'll work in my forge till the break of day. Hammer on steel, sparks will fly. The chain will be strong, and no one will die. Do not fear, my hammer's strong, and the chain that I forge will be thick and long. It will bind him for all time, and never again will he bring us fear. Hammer on steel, sparks will fly. The chain will be strong, and no one will die. Do not fear, my hammer's true, and the chain that I forge will be thick and strong. It will hold and never break, for the hammer of Thor never can be wrong. Hammer on steel, sparks will fly. The chain will be strong, and no one will die.
Now this was an interesting case because the editor in London said to me we could do with 2 new verses word-wise. So these are actually verses which weren't in the original musical. So the songbook actually has additional words because there was only 1 verse in the original one. A lot of the time the MicroMusical songs are really quite short because we're using them for very small children, but she felt with slightly older children it was good to have 2 more verses, and also we've done a key change which isn't in the original either. So there are differences between the original musical and the songbook, but just for the sake of making the songbook more useful for examination and pedagogical purposes. So here's part of a, now this was interesting, this is part of a rehearsal of the song when I first taught it. I taught the song and it's a very rough video, but I think you'll soon get the impression of what it's like with a group of kids. This is 8-year-olds. so on. Now, the Vikings was the first micro-musical I wrote. So this was the very first rehearsal of the very first musical. And you can tell the children are getting the tune well, and they really come in strong on the chorus as well. And we've also added a cellist to the ensemble. There's piano and cello there. So you can see they lend themselves quite well to additional instrumentation as well. So that's a piece from book 2, and it's kind of mythological. Whereas the first piece we looked at, I wouldn't say it's mythological exactly, but it's kind of about ancient times. And it's also referring to ancient toys, you might say, the use of homemade flutes and so on. So the range of subject matter is really quite wide. Here comes book 3 now, and this is very timely. This one, this is a song extolling the virtues of vaccinations. And it's a really fun song describing the need for vaccinations to keep children healthy and strong. Here's a kind of mock-up of the cover here, although the cover is actually available in full colour, but I've just got that at the moment to show that this is book 3, low voice. And this is a really fun song, and in fact the arrangement of this done by my professional singers is kind of a doo-wop arrangement, and it's really fun to do if you're going to do it in a musical.
When you were a baby, it's likely that you had vaccinations. You'll have had them all. Whooping cough and measles, smallpox, diphtheria. These are things that were dangerous to us all. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong. Polio prevention, it's just a little drink, but injections are what you will find. Help to stop diseases, prevent you getting sick. So please go to the doctor, he'll be kind. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong.
That's really fun, isn't it? And the children absolutely love that song, and they always do it very, very well. Now, here's a picture of the music for this one. It's not that long a song. Again, although it's a more sophisticated style, you can see the piano part isn't too hard to play. And I've got a little student sing this for you as well. So I thought it'd be fun for you to look at the music and hear this done by, I think, probably a 12-year-old.
When you were a baby, it's likely that you had vaccinations. You'll have had them all. Whooping cough and measles, smallpox, diphtheria. These are things that were dangerous to us all. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong. Polio prevention, it's just a little drink, but injections are what you will find. Help to stop diseases, prevent you getting sick. So please go to the doctor, he'll be kind. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong. Now you're older, don't wait too long. For vaccinations will keep you strong.
So again, I think it's a charming little rendition there by our singer from Alberta. So that's book 3, low voice. Now we're looking at book 4, because I'm just rattling through these today so you can get an overview of this, and we'll have time for questions and so on. Now this is something which some of you may know. There's a very popular poem called The Highwayman, which is all about a highwayman who befriends an innkeeper's daughter called Bess, and basically the redcoats, which are the British police of the time, come after him, and she's tied up by the redcoats, and in fact she tries to warn him, but he comes anyway, if you like, and it's a very sad story, but children love it, and This is a very dramatic song about the redcoats marching menacingly towards capturing the highwaymen from the musical. And this is one of the 6 musicals, again, which you can get from Boozy and Hawkes. So this is book 4, Low Voice. Here's the demonstration recording. Now this is one which has pretty much got a full orchestral style backing.
Redcoats came marching up to the innkeeper's door. They drank his ale and found purpose and left her there, trapped for sure.
So what you're hearing is the little demonstration recording, actually, which is actually very good. Now here is the same student sing this. I think this is the same performance, but this is with the music in front of you. And you can see this is quite an interesting style, and this is a low voice as well, I think. I'm not sure you're hearing this the same voice as you're looking at, but you get the impression anyway from this.
Redcoats came marching up to the innkeeper's door. They drank his ale and found purpose and left her there, trapped for sure. Two of them knelt at the window with muskets by their side, waiting for the highwayman on the road where they knew he would ride. Look for me in the moonlight, he said as he rode once more. Beth knew for sure death lay in wait if he returned to that door. Redcoats came marching. Redcoats came marching.
So that's a very dramatic song, and it's a wonderful song to stage. They have the redcoats marching about with their rifles, and we've seen some very dramatic performances of this piece from the musical The Highwaymen. So this is book 4. So we're up to book 4 already. And by the way, the next picture I'm going to show you is some pictures of the children doing the micromusicals. Aren't they great? These are, I think this is, I'm trying to think, you can probably tell which one this is, but it's obviously, it's Boudica. So it's about Boadicea, the warrior queen. And the other one is, it's actually, I think, Theseus and the Minotaur. This is one of the monsters in that particular musical. So you can see the students do some great things, well, and their teachers, obviously, and their parents, in terms of costumes as well. And you can see the enjoyment in their faces. Well, you can't in the monsters, obviously, but the other boy, he's looking like he's really quite pleased. And he was, I think, a centurion in this particular musical. So now we're on to book 5, and I thought it was good for you to have a look at a piece which is from Shakespeare. And this is The Tempest. And I think I'm right in saying that this is closely based on Shakespeare's words. And again, it includes the words, "We are the stuff such stuff as dreams are made of," which is a wonderful and famous line. And here's a bit of the demonstration recording of this piece called A Tempest Raged. Oh, there's the cover, book 5, Low Voice. And here is the piece.
A tempest raged upon the nearby sea, and sent a ship and all its souls a wreck. Great magic was the means to cause such havoc, and magic was the means to bring her back. We are such stuff as dreams are made on. No one could think such things while full awake. But in our dreams, all things are right and usual.
Now, I've discovered students do actually perfectly happily adapt to singing those words, which are Shakespeare's words. So even quite young children. So I've discovered when we've tried to do these musicals of Shakespeare that they actually go down very well. And here's a young student sing the same song, but I thought it'd be interesting for you to see a bit of the music score of this as well. Um, Slightly different style and quite a theatre style, you might say.
A tempest raged upon the nearby sea, and sent a ship and all its souls a wreck. Great magic was the means to cause such havoc, and magic was the means to bring her back. We are such stuff as dreams are made of. No one would think such things will fall away, but in our dreams all things are right and usual, and magic can repair our dreams' mistake. This tempest has brought those who erred to justice, and those who were displaced have won their case. Those wronged are so avenged and are forgiving. Come now, we'll plan a wedding at thy place. We are such stuff as dreams are made of. No one would think such things will fall away, but in our dreams all things are right and usual, and magic can repair our dreams' mistake. We are such stuff as dreams are made of. No one would think such things will fall away, but in our dreams all things are right and usual, and magic can repair our dreams' mistake.
So again, the structure's been cut down at the request of the vocal teacher, so that is basically 2 verses and a double chorus, that particular version. I thought it would be quite nice to show you one other piece from book 5 as well. So I've got another one from, and this is a really unusual piece, I love this. This is a nonsense song, although it's not nonsense in style, but it's sung by the junior space cadets, speculating what would be like if there was more than one moon in the solar system. In fact, I think they're talking about like 9 moons, and the words of this are really quite intriguing. But the harmonies of this and the start of this is really quite, I've decided to really go for it. And I like the harmonic start of this. Here's the bit of the demonstration recording of Harvest Moons from Junior Space Cadets. So there it is from book 5. There, by the way, is one of the new covers. And I'd just like to point out, we've had new covers done, a new artwork for all of the new MicroMusicals by a wonderful artist called Joy Liu, who's actually in St. Catharines in Ontario. And she's a former piano student of my wife, who was always very gifted, and now she's doing an art degree. But she's a piano teacher as well as an artist, which is rather nice.
Can you think for a moment what it would be like if 175 moons shone bright? You wouldn't need a light bulb, a flashlight, or a candle to see your way round the house. You could read all night long with no need for a light. You could bake in the kitchen, it would be so bright. You could paint all your walls and your ceilings with no lamp, and your friends could call in at night. With 175 moons, not one.
And so on. So I'll show you the words now, because in fact it's intriguing to see what these words are. Young students singing the same song. This is the low voice version, and there it is. I haven't even got the whole song because it's a 5-page song. Because obviously, as you get in the higher grades, you do get some longer songs as well. But you look at the words of this, I think you'll find them quite amusing and intriguing.
And you think for a moment what it would be like if 175 moons shone bright. You wouldn't need a light bulb, a flashlight, or a candle to see your way round the house. You could read all night long with no need for a light. You could bake in the kitchen, it would be so bright. You could paint all your walls and your ceilings with no lamp, and your friends could call in at night. With 175 moons, not one, when the morning came round, we would not want the sun. 'Cause if we worked and played in the middle of the night, we would sleep while the sun shone bright. So I think we are right to have only one moon to keep. We can play from dawn to dusk, save the night for sleep. Yes, I think we are right to have only one moon to keep.
And so on. So you can tell what the rest of the piece goes like. But anyway, you can also tell that the student actually has mastered that quite well. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment here because we've got to the end of, oh, before I go on, actually, I'm just going to see what this next screen does. Available from, yes, I'll mention this straight away. Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, all available from DeborahWanders.com, who's actually a Canadian distributor who you already have a strong connection with. So they're very easy to get a hold of. And Book 5 are also available from DeborahWanders.com. So they're very easy to get hold of, and which is a great start. I'm just going to stop the share for a moment. There we go. And Derek, I've got one more thing to talk about, but I thought we might just quickly pause there and see if there's anything in the chat or anybody would like to come in with any questions or observations at this point.
Yeah, not seeing any questions in the chat at the moment, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand if you're familiar with the raise your hand feature, and we'll bring you on to talk, or you can type in the Q&A or the chat box at this time.
I mean, otherwise, hopefully it's fairly self-evident how it works, but one thing it is important to say is the books are available, but we'll also make the demonstration recordings from the musicals as well as the demonstration recordings from the students available, because the ones that the students have done are based on the books, whereas the demonstration recordings from the musicals sometimes differ, but it gives you a good feeling for what they can be done like with bigger instrumentation, if you like.
There is one question here now from Nathine. She's asking, for festival exam solo song purposes, can the songs come from the original MicroMusicals, or would it be best to use the newer version series of books for fun festivals books?
That's an interesting point. I think you're free to use the ones from the original musicals if you've got them, but it's quite useful. I think that the books actually have been tailored slightly more towards students, if you like, and not when I say students, towards vocal exams. That's exams. Of course, festivals is a different thing, but yeah, I mean, feel free to use the full version if you like, which also includes the backing from the original musicals. If you're talking about the first 6, the other musicals are really only available, if you like, at the moment in these books and with the demonstration recordings and demo recordings, which you're going to make available through Conservatory Canada. I hope that's clear.
I think so. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions at this time, so maybe go ahead with your next little bit, and if anyone has anything, feel free to put it in the chat box or raise your hand.
Yeah, well, the next thing is quite interesting. I just wanted to share something new, which is about to come out but isn't out yet, because these books go up to grade 5. But what's happened is Wendy, my wife, Wendy Edwards Beardall Norton, as she's known her full title, who's got 3 piano books out, is also a wonderful songwriter. In fact, she's written complete songs for many of these musicals, which are really lovely. But she's also got a book coming out of 4 songs, which I think are going to be grade 6 and beyond, because they're longer and more sophisticated, if you like. And I wanted to just show you one of those songs as a sneak preview. And in your pack of things, I've given you a couple of sample pages so you can see it as well. Coming next, 4 songs by Wendy Edwards Beardall Norton. And I think this is a particularly wonderful song. So I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that these are going to be available shortly through Deborah Wanless as well. And if you're doing exams beyond grade 5, you could well think about these. So this is a piece called Think of Me. And look at this. I think I made a little video of this so you can actually see the music playing and at the same time hear it. Here it is.
Think of me if just a memory when life has let you down and true friends can't be found. Just know that I won't let those memories die. I'll hold them safe inside where secret treasures hide. And I'll be there each time you need me. And I won't need a map to lead me to where you are. I'll find you and bind you with my love. Think of me, just close your eyes and we can capture all the light that keeps those memories bright. And if we try, together we can fly to places far from pain. We'll be like kids again. And I'll be there each time you need me. And I won't need a map to lead me to where you are. I'll find you and bind you with my love. Think of me, and through those thoughts you'll see how we shared joyful fun through days of endless sun. Those days aren't gone, our lives have just moved on, and though we're far apart, those memories fill my heart. And I'll be there each time you need me. And I won't need a map to lead me to where you are. I'll find you and bind you with my love.
So all the demonstration recordings of these done by a wonderful singer who I've worked with for many years from Seattle will be available. And there's 4 songs altogether, all quite big songs like this. And as you can hear, they could be songs from musicals, or they could almost be songs from operas practically. So I thought you'd be interested to hear that these exist as well. I've got some useful links here which are in your worksheet. There's ChristopherNorton.com for all Boozy and Hawks products, which includes the MicroMusicals, the actual MicroMusicals themselves. Facebook.com, Christopher Norton Composer. If you don't know already, do come and join me on that. The YouTube channel, which has got composer performances, student performances, and so on. And the Spotify artist link, and I've got that. It's a great big long thing there, but you've got it in your worksheet, which has got everything I've done practically is gradually being put up there by Boozy and Hawks, including the Connection series. And there's me, and there's me, and that's it. So it's a slightly shorter one than usual, but in fact, as Derek, we're still up to 50 minutes, aren't we, at there? So we're not exactly running you short here.
No, that was a great overview, Chris. Thanks very much. I've been looking forward to hearing more about MicroMusicals for a long time and having these introduced to our teachers. I think they're a great resource for our exam syllabi and just wonderful, wonderful music, especially for kids.
Yeah, the kids always love them when they do them as musicals, and they're easy to learn. So I'm sort of mentioning the idea that in Canada they're not that known that well yet. They're an exciting resource which is kind of waiting to be discovered, if you like.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we hope they will be. So does anyone have any questions here that's on the call? Again, you can raise your hand, throw your question in the chat box or the Q&A. Actually, we do have a question in the Q&A. Allison wants to know, do you have any graded book levels for the young pianist outside the one piece found in the various grades in the conservatory piano books?
So this is a piano question, is it? Is that right?
Yes, it is. Maybe I'll start first and then you can fill in the blanks. So the last 3 weeks, Allison, we've had 3 webinars that focus very much on this. So if you email me, I believe you have my email address, I can send you links to those recordings from the last 3 weeks. And in fact, anyone else who wants to see that information, Chris has provided us with a wealth of worksheets, backing tracks, and I can send you links to all that stuff, including replay links from those 3. But there are just tons of books, and all of Chris's music is on our contemporary repertoire list that can be used for both classical exams and contemporary evenings exams. So feel free to reach out to me. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, just to be aware, people might not realize that there's a Connections preparatory book now available. So Connections goes from grades 1 to 10, but in fact, there's now a preparatory book, which is pre-grade 1. And am I allowed to mention other examination boards on this podcast?
Ooh, absolutely.
Because it's just a rather nice touch, is that there's a piece in the preparatory book called Blue Bottle. So it's about a fly, and it's just been chosen to be on the pre-grade 1 Royal Conservatory syllabus. But it's also from a book which the Music for Young Children put out, which has got a number of the pieces which are in that book are also in their book, which I've used as a manual for improvisation. So in other words, the pieces are out there in various guises, if you like, but Conservatory Canada is the best one because obviously you can choose anything from that book if you're pre-grade 1. And then, of course, once you get to grade 1 onwards, the Connections pieces, like the preparatory book, have backing tracks and are all on SuperScore as well. So there's lots of kind of backup materials, if you like, to go with them as well.
Questions? Oh, I see another question here from the theme. Thank you for providing the downloadable links to backing tracks. Can all of those be on the CC website? She did receive the email links, but always afraid to lose those. I think it's best. We don't have enough server space really to start hosting all those backing tracks. We did our website, and it's sort of revealed to me some vulnerabilities that we have in terms of our size and the bloatedness of some of the.
So what we might be able to do is I can put those onto the Connections website. There's a Christopher Norton Connections.com has all the Connections web links, but it's easy for me to put up all the songs as well. So I think that's what I'll do is just host them on that.
Right. And so anything I send anyone out with links, feel free to download all that stuff. It's going to be there for quite a while, but not forever. And that's probably the best way to do it. And I think, Chris, is it safe to share those links with students to practice with?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
In fact, I'm hoping that bit by bit, we'll be able to put the piano parts all onto Spotify so they can actually just practice with them streamed as well.
Mhm.
That's the idea. Somebody has mentioned that MicroMusicals is a wonderful option for a summer camp. That is absolutely true. We've done some remarkable things in Britain. One of them I did was we did the Highwaymen with a huge group of students at a school, and we did the whole musical in one day. We learnt the whole thing and staged it in the same day. So there's good things you can do because these are quick to learn. Now you can tell the tunes are really easy to pick up. I'm hoping everybody agrees with me about that. So yeah, we need to finesse. I notice I may have done a slight misspelling or miss something or other. Deborah Wanless's address, but it's deborahwanless.com. Is that right? If I put CA perhaps. Anyway, it's whatever her regular. You just need to look up Deborah Wanless and you find her straight away, and that's where you can get the books.
Right.
And they're pretty inexpensive as well, I should add. And she's very good at delivering things quickly and cheaply as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be providing a downloadable link to Derek as soon as I can, which will have, well, what I'm basically going to, it's a bit confusing if I put the backing tracks from the musical itself, because they're different structures from the book. We decided to make them quite a few of them shorter. So the best thing to do, I think, is to put a piano accompaniment and a little bit of a sample of the students singing it, if you like, for each piece. That's my aim.
Mhm. Gloria Jean's asking too if the levels on those books are consistent with Conservatory Canada lists. Gloria Jean, they should be, but please email me and let me know if there's an inconsistency there. We've just added, we've probably doubled the size of our repertoire list lately, so there's bound to be a couple of mistakes, and I'd like to catch those as soon as possible. So email me with that if there's something that doesn't look right.
Yeah, what I should say is that the girl who did the grading for me is an examiner for the Associated Board in Britain, and that's the grading, which is probably. Are you fairly similar? I mean, they've got 8 grades rather than 10, so they're a bit steeper than Canada, I think, if anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
But she's basically has done them, so she thinks these would be fine for our grade 1. I think it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's the guidance we've used for now.
Yeah.
Make them more or less equivalent, especially because there's only going levels 1 to 5, these books. Once you get to 6, 7, 8, then we'd have to look at it a little more closely, I think.
Yeah. And the other thing is to say is that none of the piano parts are terribly hard to play, which I think people were quite pleased to see. They sound really nice, but they're not that difficult.
Yeah. Okay, thanks anyone. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing anything else from anyone at this point. Again, hang on for next Friday. We're going to have our next webinar with Deborah Wanless talking about total theory and the new harmony text that she's written. And then the week after that, we're going to have George Litters with Time Warp Technologies, along with Andrew Harbridge talking about Superscore. I know a number of you on this webinar have been around the last 3 weeks with us and have seen and heard a lot about Superscore. We're going to go back into some exam materials there that are on Superscore and how it's used. So
I should add in passing, by the way, that my aim, and I don't think it's going to be very difficult to do, is to make all the MicroMusical songs available on Superscore as well, which means we'll have a guide melody played perhaps on an acoustic guitar. So you've got a guide tune, but the piano parts will be on Superscore, so you can actually practice it and even slow it down or whatever. So I think that's something I'm aiming to do quite soon.
Well, that would be an incredible resource for everybody.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have Chris back to talk with George too on Superscore on some of his materials later on in the middle of November or so.
And I should add, just to flag a couple of things up, by the way, Derek, that I'm going to give a presentation on Wendy's actual piano music as well. This is my wife, because she's a wonderful writer. But the other thing which is coming out, which is most intriguing, is something called the Essential Guides. I'm finishing the work on those at the moment, but these are being put out in Superscore. This is guides to how to play 34 different pop styles, 28 different Latin styles, and jazz styles as well, and they are all in Superscore. This is a product which actually came out in the 1990s with MIDI files, and they never released them with anything else. So therefore, they kind of languished, because once MIDI files went so common, people thought, I don't know what to do with this. But we're releasing them with audio on all digital platforms, as well as on the SuperScore platform. So that would be a nice thing perhaps to tell you about, because it's just a lovely resource for students and for teachers to learn a whole range of styles, with a lovely little piano piece in each style for you to play as well.
And anyone on SuperScore, feel free to check the essential guides for Latin styles and pop styles. I see is already up there, or has been for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Really neat stuff. So yeah, we'll have to do webinars on that stuff later in January as well. I think that would be really great for teachers to see. Okay, that's about time here. We're almost at the top of the hour. Thanks, everyone. You're going to get a replay link later along with resources, the resource links there to these folders of all the stuff that Chris is sharing. Thanks for your positive comments and feedback, and hope you all have a great weekend, and hope we'll connect with you sooner than later next week. Okay, bye for now. We're just going to hang on here and grab Alexandra for a second too.
So some nice comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good. I'm just removing a couple here that are hanging.